Hello and welcome to Where You Not Entertained, where two film fans discuss their favorite flicks. I'm Daniel.
And I'm James.
And today we're covering Ad Astra.
Yep, the new flick, sci-fi flick from Brad Pitt.
Yep.
Well, not from him.
From, yeah.
He's starring Brad Pitt.
From James Gray.
Exactly.
I guess and Ethan Gross.
Okay, cool.
They're the writers of it. James Gray directed it as well, so
There you go.
we can say it's from them.
Yeah. Brad Pitt did executive produce on this, but yeah.
Doesn't he executive produce on everything he's in?
Why wouldn't he? But yeah, kind of a high-minded sci-fi movie. It just jumping in there real quick. By the way, we're going to spoil the movie, so if you haven't seen it, I recommend watching it. Or if you're not planning on it, then I guess go ahead and listen. But heads up, we're going to ruin it.
Or if you don't care, listen anyway. And then,
Yeah, exactly. But this had a lot of reminders of other movies. 2001. It kind of had some feelings of Ender's Game to a degree, almost more the book than the movie. The kind of, exact right properties, kind of a loner and outsider character, like he's the hero, even though he's not a perfect hero.
Right.
Like makes some serious mistakes on the way. I don't know. It was a real interesting movie, but it's kind of slow, man. I would almost say on the verge of boring.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily maybe on the verge, but I didn't think it was too slow. I thought that there were points where it could get there like very quickly.
Yeah.
But they didn't really go past that threshold for me anyway.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't ever a time that I was like, oh my God, come on, just move it along.
I agree. But at the same time, like I actually liked this movie. I had a good time. It was right up my wheelhouse, though, being a big fan of sci-fi and liking pretty much everything Brad Pitt does. And so it didn't seem like a stretch for me. But like somebody like my mother, I probably wouldn't recommend this. I would be like, watch Gravity. You'll like Gravity. Whereas this this is just such a slow burn that I think it might be less approachable. Unless you're kind of into a slower character building movie and you're given the heads up that that's what this is.
If you like sci-fi and you don't mind the movie basically being about character development, then yeah.
Yeah, there's some action in this, and the action's really cool, but it doesn't seem to be the star of the show.
No, he is.
Right.
Brad Pitt is the star of the show for sure.
Clearly.
Not just in character, but I mean so a lot of what you get and take away from this movie is based on inner monologue or
voiceover, actually.
Or voice well, he has some inner monologue, but he's also recording what are I guess daily entries for.
Yeah, he's logging communications and stuff like that.
Yeah, what did they call it? A wellness check or?
Oh, yeah. It gave me kind of Blade Runner-y feels with especially how kind of blank he plays this character. And then the fact that he constantly has to have the psych evaluations.
Right.
It seemed very much like Ryan Gosling's character, Kay, in Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like it had those kind of elements as well. That was another one I was thinking about watching the movie.
Yeah, it was really interesting, I guess, how at the very beginning he's very cut off and robotic.
Yeah.
And then as he gets the news and the mission and starts to travel in space, he's becoming a little more free, I guess, with his emotions and what he's saying in these logs. I don't remember what they call them. It's going to irritate me.
Yeah. It was something like a psychological evaluation.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the exact name was.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I see that. I mean, all of that is kind of an overlay since we did talk about the fact that this is a character-based movie. Said that kind of weird, but anyway. I guess the deeper meaning behind this is like the coming out of the shadow of your parents or your mentors and becoming your own person. Because it kind of seemed like he had spent his whole life trying to become what his father had wanted him to be.
Yeah.
And it had stifled him in a lot of ways.
Right. Well, I think that is definitely part of it. But the other part is, maybe not being so wrapped up in what you're doing, like what you're pursuing as a career. And even though that, your goal is to be great, you still have to
work-life balance.
Yeah, you got to take the time to enjoy the things around you and understand and respect the things around you for what they are, even if they don't fit into what your path is, I guess.
Right.
Because that's kind of, in his mission to be like his father, and I'm just talking life mission here. In his life mission to kind of be like his dad, live up to, what his dad did and the lore that is around his greatness, essentially.
Right.
He pushed everything aside.
Yeah.
Like specifically for his career, he pushed everything aside. And so once he started to kind of think about, and you already said spoilers. So think about the fact that his dad could still be alive, and that either maybe he's gone crazy or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Maybe he's stranded there.
Maybe he knows something.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I was thinking, what if he's contacted and found out that like they're peace loving and knows that if he lets Space Command know that like we will go there and destroy them,
right,
or something like that. And so it's just, I don't know.
It could have been.
Yeah,
it could have been a lot of things.
And it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. And you also get to see that he's a lot like his dad.
Yeah.
And his dad sees that he's a lot like him as well. Which is not necessarily a bad thing.
I don't know. His dad was kind of a crazy man and kind of like single-minded and willing to sacrifice his wife and kid for the mission and his entire crew. And I don't know. He definitely lost his shit.
I mean, I think he did to an extent. Well, yeah, no, he definitely did.
I mean, I think he's definitely the bad guy of the movie.
Sure, he is. He's not the one that was causing the problems on Earth, though.
Well, not intentionally, but it was his battle with his crewmates when they tried to mutiny against him and go home.
Right.
That resulted in the malfunction that's causing the problems on Earth.
Correct.
So, not directly, but very indirectly, it's his fault.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is like he's not a madman that built a device to destroy the Earth.
Yeah, he's not trying to take everyone down with him or anything.
Right.
Right.
And as far as like his family goes, he said it very clearly that he did not care about them.
Right.
So yeah, shame on him for having a family, but I think that he I don't know if that was true the whole time. You obviously don't really get to see the glimpses of the pre-Lost in Space kind of attitude that he had, being there for quite a while. Even if he cared before, might change his perspective as to what he thought was important at the time.
Right. 20 years in space, you don't know how you're going to justify it to yourself.
Right.
So, yeah, I see that. It does kind of speak to what I was talking about, too, about how the movie seems to have a theme of getting out from under a shadow.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And that kind of story needs the fall from grace for the hero that you've held up so long. And so, his father was a dead hero who gave his life for the Space Command. And the possibility of him being alive and the possibility of him being the cause of the what do they call it, the event or whatever.
Yeah, the
I can't remember.
electrostorm.
Yeah, I can't remember what they called it.
EMP pulses, essentially.
Yeah,
which is like not good.
But that's kind of a degradation. He even pushes against it and says that, my dad's dead.
Right.
This is just a last ditch effort to smear his name and save some face.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he thought that for a little while.
Yeah, but then when he found out that his dad was crazy, that's what really it kind of was at the right time of the long journey to get there to find out the truth. Mm-hmm. And then that disappointment coupled with the fact that there is no aliens that we can find. Mm-hmm. His kind of acceptance of that, and that he hasn't been doing things right. He was chasing a ghost for the last 30 years of his life.
Right.
And the kind of freedom that awakened in him, I think, was the real meaning of the story here.
Yeah. No, it definitely was. I think you're right. And, there's so many different kind of facets of this movie.
Yeah.
Questions that, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, is it the right thing to do? Well, no, it's not the right thing to do. As for instance, when he hopped on the shuttle from Mars,
when he stowed away and ended up killing the entire crew.
Yeah, I mean,
that's pretty fucked up.
Well, they were trying to kill him, so
true. I mean, yeah, but
like, he was not trying to kill them when he got in there. That was not a goal. He kept saying, "I am not a threat. I am not here to hurt you. I am not,"
Yeah, but you did stow away on a military mission, on a ship that's conducting a military mission with a nuclear bomb on board to go blow up the thing that might threaten life on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, there's a level of, like, this is our last ditch effort that might kind of warrant shooting any motherfucker who stowed away on your ship.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm not arguing with that. But what I am saying is that if in your duty of trying to do that, trying to protect your bomb, you die, that's on you, bud. You chose to do this. He didn't get on there trying to steal a nuke and kill a bunch of people. That's not really what his goal was. He was trying to go to find his dad and stop whatever was happening, but
true.
They, instead of, well, I also feel like, if you kind of watch the movie in that part, they're taking like mood altering pills.
Yeah.
So they don't lose their shit in space, and they're like complete robots when he sees them on the base. So it just makes me wonder if they like drug these people up just so that they can travel in space. And so when they're told, hey, you have to do whatever you have to kill this guy and make sure he doesn't interfere with the mission, do they have an actual logical brain that's like, yeah, but this guy saved our lives like, half a day ago.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not actually trying to kill us. He doesn't obviously want to kill himself, so doing crazy shit in space is not on the agenda.
Right.
So, yeah, having that, it was obviously not the best result to stow away and then end up with everybody dead. But
it was pretty cool watching him get onto the ship, though.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty exhilarating.
Yeah. The whole little, like, I feel like they're about to take off when he's underwater.
Right?
pulling on the rope. And I'm like, oh, shit, he's going to get left behind.
Or toasted.
Like
that's more concerned because he's going up from the bottom.
Right.
Like, that's a terrifying idea. Like, those little sparks falling on me, I wouldn't trust that for the world, that's not going to sear through my suit or create a puncture, through a burn hole or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. That was about as gripping as it gets. You had the baboons as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting. But
I was kind of curious what
not exactly what I was expecting. Some rabid baboons that had killed a crew, or maybe they died and the baboons got out and have just been eating the dead bodies or something? I don't know.
I feel like the baboons probably killed them.
It seems hard to believe, though, that, like, we saw 2 baboons, so
Yep.
there's at least 2.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say there were 4,
Mm-hmm.
and they all happened to be in one cage together and all got out together.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't see 4 baboons taking on a crew of 4 or 5 people. You know, even if they jump a couple of them, shutting them out of different different locks and stuff like that, and well, they depressurized them to kill them in this, which. But even if that works in your movie logic, why didn't the original crew do that? I mean, I guess maybe if there was only
there are some points in this movie that don't make sense.
Yeah,
Like that and the explosive inside outing of the of the baboons.
Yeah, the depressurization that works like TNT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole hang on to a spinning antenna and shoot yourself through
Yeah.
the rings on Neptune
with a shield.
With a shield.
Like Captain America or something.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was like, all right, cool. It looks good.
It does.
That's
yeah.
really all I give a damn, because this wouldn't work at all.
Hell no. He'd hit the first couple rocks and it would change his trajectory.
Well, also, multiple times when he was trying to pull that panel off, he let go. He would have just lost his footing because it's a constantly spinning disc in space. There's nothing except
Right.
for the momentum that's going to throw you off of that because it's spinning.
Right.
You don't have gravity holding you down as a stronger force. Like, you're just going to fly off of that thing if you're not holding on.
Mm-hmm.
So that was also, I was like, haha, would have lost it there. Nope. Would have flown into space there. Yep. Would have flown into space again.
Yep.
But
There was
But
a
you
few of
suspend
those.
that.
There's a few
Like,
of those.
yeah.
It's a movie.
And I did get some I don't know, you said that this was written by, but was it adapted from a novel or anything? Because I got some serious, like, built off of a book kind of vibes from it, especially with the narration. It also made the narration work for me.
Yeah.
But it kind of felt like it was based off of a novel from the 80s or something like that. It had that kind of Right Stuff style, badass test pilot, almost Armageddon style.
Well, yeah, the very first part of it when he's doing his antenna walk or whatever and shit starts going south and he falls off of that. I mean, that's a very... That looked like an Armageddon. Like, he's got the orange suit and... yeah. No, you're totally right. It could be. I didn't see anything.
And I was actually looking for it in the movie too. I didn't see anything in the credits that jumped out at me. I might have missed it, but it does have kind of this literary feel to it, especially its focus on character and the amount of action that it has, but the way that it's kind of quickly moved from and glossed over.
Right.
And so, I don't know. Overall, what'd you think of this movie?
I liked it. I was entertained.
You were entertained?
Yeah, I was for sure. It's a much more thought-provoking movie than some of the. It's not like a major blockbuster, obviously. I find anyway that there are a lot of movies in space that are based on like action, right? That's
here's all the bad things that can happen in space.
When shit happens in space, it's bad.
Right.
And this had some shit happen in space, but it was more about the person and the journey.
Right.
And that person's journey than it was really about all the crazy, scary shit that could happen to you in space. So yeah, there weren't a lot of like super crazy explosions or, fire and pressurized containers or people getting sucked out of airlocks or things breaking apart and debris flying through your whole vehicle. things that happen in like gravity and
Yeah.
since you mentioned gravity, that was Gravity was a very kind of action packed. There was supposed to be a story there, and there was, but it was much more about escaping the destruction and the isolation of space with essentially no tools. And
Right.
that was not this. This was about a personal journey.
Right. And it covers a long time.
Yeah.
And for what I said earlier, I was definitely entertained. I like this movie a lot. This is right up my alley. But I absolutely could see how many people would not like it. So that being said, while I was entertained, I don't feel like it's a movie for everybody. So if you like kind of the slower, more thoughtful sci-fi stories about people and their daily lives, and not daily per se, but I guess the daily lives of really important people, and set in a near future where some of the technologies, the new technologies that we've been talking about for a long time are actually implemented and not just on the horizon. It's really interesting. Like, I loved the space tower scene at the beginning. So
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So we'll go ahead and say that the Metascore for this is an 80, and the ranking
Critics, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the ranking in IMDb is a 7.0 out of 10. So people seem to enjoy it, not just critics, but like regular people. It has not gotten shit upon
That's good.
for being boring or too slow, which is nice.
And I heard a lot of praise about it before I saw the movie. So yeah, it did well. I think Toronto Film Festival is where it got debuted at, and so I'm glad to see that the general population is enjoying a story like this, because it is very up my alley. So
Yeah,
I've
enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. Yeah, definitely. So good. It is good, and they've made their money back.
that's also good.
At least there's that. Not
Yeah.
that there's like a sequel in in the works or anything. I'm just saying. At least they made their money back.
Definitely. I think that about wraps it up for Ad Astra. Except for, what was your favorite scene, Daniel?
How did I know you were going to ask me that?
Because we literally do it every single episode.
Oh yeah. There is that. Okay. Well, fair enough. So I think that I have to go with my favorite scene being at the end when he's on the craft with his dad. I don't know. He's had it for like 20 years out there, 30 years out there, whatever. It's been out there for a long time. So it's kind of been cannibalized. So it's not like an entire spacecraft that's chilling there, I guess, like you might have expected, or maybe I did. Anyway, so when he's having the conversation with his dad, and he's still saying, I'm here to end this. Like, we've got to stop this because this is screwing up stuff at home.
Right.
And it was like, I am home, and even all the things that his dad said to him about, I knew it was going to be the last time I saw you. I didn't care about you and your mother. And, he had these instances of realization, but they weren't realization. He already knew it.
Right.
And so he was saying things like, I know, Dad. And, we got to go home, and
I love you anyway.
Yeah. So that connection there that he had with his father for that brief amount of time before his dad lost his shit again and tried to shoot them both into space.
Jesus.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, right? You could have disconnected from me and then shot yourself into space. You didn't have to be a dick about it.
Right. But that, and then, the realization that he has in his son as well is that, there's not a lot of people like us anymore. We're the last of a dying breed. the people that have a mission to fulfill, and that's their one track, right?
Right.
And so just that whole thing, the whole scene before he shoots himself, before his dad shoots himself into space one direction, and then he shoots himself through space, through a ring, and into a spaceship, whatever.
Yeah.
But
That was a really good shot, man.
it was a hell of a shot.
He was eyeballing that.
Yeah.
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 Anyway.
So
No, it was a great scene with his father that it summed it up in such a succinct way. It's a good choice.
yeah, they had their moment.
And this could have been a hard movie to finish.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think they did it right with that.
Mm-hmm.
Good call.
Cool. Thanks. So, what was yours?
Well, since we're going to be completely opposite out of nowhere, because that's very much a scene that I would normally pick for my favorite scene.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, mine was the buggy race with pirates on the moon.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
Yeah, because that is just like, I mean, it felt like a 1950s space western dime novel or something.
Right,
Like
yeah.
with pieces flying everywhere and firing guns and like the way that it was. And, blood splattering on the inside of space helmets. It was just, I don't know, there was something so appropriate for the time period because he did have that test pilot, rocket jockey kind of attitude to him. And it kind of fit with that same time period in history. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know, it just seems so perfect for this movie. And
Well, he had combat training as well. So
Right.
That's probably kind of where he gets some of that, which is, it played into that part of it really well. I thought it was pretty cool too.
Man, love that scene.
Yeah.
There was some cool stuff.
It
And
was
then the way
great.
they jump off the cliff and they're spinning and it's like slow motion while they land because of the low gravity.
Right.
was-
At that point, I was kind of like, oh shit, how are they going to hit?
All the way to the rockets that get sent out from the base and end
Yeah.
up blowing up the pirates who are too close.
Show you pirates.
Hell yeah. No, I loved it. I thought that was wonderful.
The question is, like, what the hell were they trying to get? Because they killed everybody. Like,
Right.
They destroyed the other two rovers.
I guess the supplies that the rovers would naturally have.
I guess. I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I like how he was like, give me a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, give that man a gun.
That guy can pull it off.
Yep.
All right. Well, then I think we've successfully dissected Ad Astra. If people want to go and check us out and find out the other stuff we've done or just say hello, where would they go and do that, Daniel?
You can tell us that we were successful at dissecting Ad Astra on Facebook.
You were
and
more
Twitter.
successful saying it than I was.
We're on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. You can visit us at we'reunitentertain.com, and you can see some of our old stuff there, as well as shooting us an email. You can also just shoot us an email. Yeah, so there's that.
Absolutely. And please join us next time on Were You Not Entertained?